She had no idea that saving two strangers from a burning car would start a 2-year battle that would expose a conspiracy poisoning her neighborhood and nearly cost her everything. Maya Johnson pressed her face against the cracked windshield of the overturned SUV. Smoke billowed from the engine. Two men in expensive suits hung upside down, unconscious. Blood trickled from the driver's forehead. "Come on, Rex, we have to help them," she whispered to her limping German shepherd. The 19-year-old had been homeless for 8 months. She owned nothing but the clothes on her back and a sick dog who could barely walk. What Maya Johnson didn't know was that these were federal agents carrying evidence that would expose the truth about why her entire community was dying. And why would saving them put Maya's life in danger for the next 2 years? Maya had been surviving on the streets for 8 months, but what she discovered that morning would make her question everything she thought she knew about her situation. The alarm on her cracked phone buzzed at 5:30 a.m. Maya opened her eyes under the Riverside overpass. Concrete above, cardboard below. Rex lay beside her, breathing heavily. His German shepherd frame looked thinner each day. "Morning, boy," she whispered, scratching behind his ears. Rex lifted his head but didn't stand. Usually he'd be excited for their morning walk. Now he just looked tired. Maya pulled out her last granola bar and split it in half. Rex's half went untouched. That worried her more than her own empty stomach. She'd been coughing for weeks. So had Rex. At first, she blamed the cold nights. Now she wasn't so sure. Maya packed her few belongings into a worn backpack, one change of clothes, her high school diploma in a plastic bag, a small notebook where she wrote 3 things she was grateful for each day. Yesterday's entry: "Rex is still with me. The library has Wi-Fi. Mrs. Lane shared her soup." The walk to the community center took 20 minutes. Rex struggled to keep up, his paws tender against the pavement. Maya noticed they looked irritated, almost raw. "We'll get you checked out soon," she promised, knowing she couldn't afford a vet visit. The Riverside district used to be beautiful. Maya remembered visiting here as a kid with her foster mom, Patricia. Working families filled the sidewalks. Kids played in yards. Now half the houses sat empty. For sale signs covered in dust. At the community center, Maya used the shower and changed clothes. Clean felt like victory. In the mirror, she saw what everyone else saw. A young black woman who looked defeated. Dark circles under her eyes. Skin that seemed dull. She was 19, but felt ancient. Patricia would have said, "Stand tall, Maya. Your circumstances don't define your character." Maya missed Patricia every day. Cancer took her 2 years ago, just months after Maya aged out of foster care. Patricia was the only mother she'd ever known, the only person who believed Maya could be anything she wanted. "Your heart is your compass," Patricia used to say. "Trust it, even when everything else feels broken." After her shower, Maya walked to the library. Rex waited outside, too tired to pace like he used to. The librarian, Mrs. Rodriguez, always pretended not to notice when Maya spent entire days there. Maya opened her job search on a public computer. 12 applications yesterday. 2 rejections this morning. The rest were ignored. No permanent address made everything harder. No references from recent jobs made it impossible. She pulled out her notebook and started writing. Day 247. Rex ate a little. Mrs. Rodriguez smiled at me. The internet worked. Around noon, Maya volunteered in the soup kitchen. She served meals to families who looked just like her. Tired, worried, hanging on by threads. An elderly man named Mr. Williams coughed throughout his meal. Mrs. Chen's granddaughter, Sarah, brought her baby. The child seemed smaller than last month. "How's little Maria?" Maya asked. Sarah's eyes filled with tears. "The doctors can't figure out what's wrong. She won't eat, won't sleep, just cries." Maya held the baby while Sarah ate. Maria felt warm, restless, like something was bothering her from the inside. "Have other babies been sick?" Sarah nodded. "Mrs. Patterson's grandson, the Johnson twins, all under 2 years old, all the same symptoms." That afternoon, Maya taught herself basic computer skills through YouTube videos. She dreamed of becoming a veterinary technician. Patricia had encouraged that dream before she died. "Animals need advocates," Patricia had said, "and you have the heart for it. But dreams felt impossible when you couldn't afford food." Walking home as the sun set, Maya noticed the chemical plant in the distance. Morrison Chemical. It employed maybe 30 people now, down from hundreds. Trucks came and went at all hours, carrying who knows what. Maya had grown up here. She remembered when families thrived in Riverside, when children played outside without getting sick, when dogs ran through yards instead of limping down streets. Now, 15 families have moved away in the past 4 months. Maya kept track in her notebook. She didn't know why. It just felt important. Under the overpass, Maya made a bed of cardboard and newspapers. Rex curled against her chest. His breathing sounded rough, labored. "Tomorrow we'll figure something out," she whispered. But Maya felt scared, really scared. Rex was all she had left. If something happened to him, she'd be completely alone. She opened her notebook one more time. "Today I'm grateful for Rex's warmth, Mrs. Rodriguez's kindness. Sarah trusts me with Maria." As she fell asleep, Maya wondered why so many people in Riverside seemed sick. Why did the air taste metallic some mornings? Why Rex's paws stayed irritated no matter how often she cleaned them? She had no idea that tomorrow those questions would start getting answers, and that the answers would change everything. Maya thought it was just another busy afternoon until she heard the screech of tires that would change everything and put her on a collision course with forces more powerful than she ever imagined. The storm came from nowhere. One minute, Maya and Rex were walking past the intersection near Morrison Chemical. The next minute, thunder cracked overhead like a whip. Rex was limping worse today. Maya had to stop every block to let him rest. His breathing came in short pants and his eyes looked cloudy. She'd been putting off the inevitable vet visit, but watching him struggle broke her heart. "It's just a little further, boy," she said, though she wasn't sure where they were going. The community center closed early on Thursdays. The library was 20 blocks away. Maybe they'd just find somewhere dry to wait out the storm. The rain started as fat drops, then turned vicious. Within minutes, water poured from the sky like someone had opened a dam. Maya's thin jacket soaked through immediately. Rex shivered against her leg. "Come on," Maya said, scanning for shelter. "Under that overpass." But as they hurried across the intersection, Maya heard it. The squeal of tires on wet asphalt, a car moving too fast, hydroplaning. She turned and saw the black SUV careening down the hill. The driver seemed disoriented, jerking the wheel left and right. The vehicle hit a massive puddle where the storm drain had backed up. Maya watched in slow motion as the SUV spun sideways, slammed into the concrete barrier, and flipped. Once, twice. The metal screamed against the road. Then silence, except for the rain drumming on twisted steel. Steam rose from the engine. Maya smelled gasoline and something else, a sharp, chemical smell that made her nose burn. People started gathering, but they kept their distance. Someone called 911. A woman shouted, "Stay back! It might explode!" Maya stepped closer. Through the spider-webbed windshield, she could see 2 figures hanging upside down in their seatbelts. Neither was moving. "They're still alive!" Maya called to the crowd. "We have to help them!" "Are you crazy?" a man yelled. "That thing could blow any second!" Maya looked at Rex. He was barking frantically despite his weakness, like he sensed the danger. His eyes met hers with that look dogs get when they're trying to tell you something important. "Trust your heart," Patricia's voice whispered in her memory, "even when everything else feels broken." Maya's phone showed no signal. The storm had knocked out the cell towers. Emergency services were probably swamped with calls anyway. These men could die waiting for help that might not come. She thought about walking away. It would be the smart thing, the safe thing. If something happened to her, who would take care of Rex? He was already sick, already suffering. If she died, he'd die alone on the streets. But then she heard a sound that changed everything. A child crying. Maya pressed her face against the rear window. In the back seat, she could see a small backpack with cartoon characters. Her heart lurched. There might be a family in there. The smell of gasoline grew stronger. Smoke started seeping from under the hood. "Rex, stay back," Maya commanded. For once, he obeyed, sitting in the rain despite his discomfort. Maya grabbed a chunk of concrete that had broken off from the barrier. The rear window was already cracked. She struck it hard, and the safety glass shattered into a million pieces. "Help! Can anyone hear me?" A weak moan came from inside. Maya cleared away the glass with her jacket sleeve and squeezed through the window. The car reeked of chemicals and blood. Two men in dark suits hung unconscious in the front seats. The younger one, Hispanic, maybe 30, had blood trickling from a cut on his forehead. The older man, white with gray hair, wasn't bleeding, but his leg was twisted at an unnatural angle. Maya looked in the back seat. No child, just the backpack. Maybe it belonged to one of the men. The engine made a popping sound. Maya's pulse spiked. She had to get them out now. The younger man's eyes fluttered open. "Where? What happened?" "Your car flipped," Maya said, working on his seatbelt. "I'm getting you out." "My partner," he mumbled. "Check my partner, the briefcase." "Did you secure the briefcase?" Maya didn't see any briefcase. She focused on cutting through the seatbelt with a piece of broken metal. "What's your name?" "Torres, Agent Torres." "Agent." He seemed confused, disoriented. "Federal, we were going to—" Maya got him free and helped him crawl toward the back window. "Can you get out on your own?" Torres nodded weakly. "I think so. My ribs hurt, but I can move." As Torres squeezed through the window, Maya turned to the older man. He was unconscious, his breathing shallow. The seatbelt was jammed. The engine popped again, louder this time. Maya had maybe 2 minutes before this car became a fireball, and she wasn't leaving anyone behind. As Maya approached the wreckage, she had no idea she was about to save the 2 people who held the key to everything wrong in her neighborhood, and unknowingly make herself a target. The older man's seatbelt wouldn't budge. Maya pulled with all her strength, but the metal clasp had twisted in the crash. Smoke was getting thicker now, making her eyes water. Outside, she could hear Torres calling weakly, "Miss, miss, you need to get out, now!" Maya ignored him. She felt around the unconscious man's jacket, looking for anything sharp. Her fingers found a small pocket knife in his inside pocket. "Sorry," she whispered, opening the blade. The chemical smell was stronger now. Maya's head started spinning. Each breath burned her lungs. Rex was barking frantically from outside, sensing the danger. She sawed through the seatbelt fabric. "Come on, come on." The knife was small, meant for opening letters, not cutting through automotive-grade fabric. Maya's hands were shaking. Sweat dripped into her eyes despite the cold rain. Snap. The seatbelt gave way. The man's dead weight fell toward the roof. Maya caught him, her back screaming in protest. He was heavy, maybe 200 pounds of unconscious muscle. "Sir! Sir, wake up!" Maya shook him gently. No response. The engine made a sound like a growling animal. Maya knew that sound from movies. Nothing good came after that sound. She hooked her arms under the man's shoulders and started dragging him toward the broken window. Her feet slipped on the glass-covered upholstery. The man's leg was definitely broken. She could feel it bending wrong as she moved him. Halfway to the window, Maya's strength gave out. She wasn't built for this. 8 months of near starvation had left her weak, and the smoke was making her dizzy. "I can't do this," she gasped. But then she thought about Rex, sitting in the rain, sick and trusting her to come back. She thought about Patricia, who always said that the hardest things in life were often the most important. Maya took a deep breath of toxic air and tried again. This time, she rolled the man onto his side and pushed instead of pulled. Inch by inch, she worked him toward the window. Glass cut through her jeans, slicing her knees. The man's suit jacket tore on the twisted metal. Torres appeared at the window, reaching through despite his injured ribs. "Give me his arms!" Together, they maneuvered the unconscious man through the window. Maya pushed from inside while Torres pulled from outside. The man's broken leg caught on the window frame. "Stop!" Maya yelled. "You're hurting him more!" She climbed back inside to adjust his position. The smoke was so thick now she couldn't see. She had to work by feel, carefully lifting his leg over the sharp edge of the window frame. The engine popped 3 times in rapid succession. "Maya!" Torres shouted. How did he know her name? She hadn't told him. "Get out now!" Maya squeezed through the window just as orange flames licked up from under the hood. Torres was holding the unconscious man under his arms, but his injured ribs made him too weak to drag him to safety. "Help me!" Torres gasped. Maya grabbed the man's legs. Together they carried him away from the SUV. 20 feet, 30. They set him down just as the gas tank caught fire. Whoosh! The explosion knocked Maya flat. Heat washed over her like opening an oven door. She rolled on top of Rex, shielding him from the debris raining down. When the noise stopped, Maya looked up. The SUV was completely engulfed in flames. Black smoke poured into the gray sky. "Oh my God," someone in the crowd whispered. "She was just inside that thing." Maya sat up slowly. Her hair was singed. Her jacket was torn in 3 places. Both hands were bleeding from glass cuts. But she was alive. Torres was conscious, sitting up and talking rapidly into some kind of radio. Not a phone, a thick, military-looking device. "Base, this is Agent Torres. We've had an incident. Location is at the intersection of Industrial and 5th. We need immediate medical attention and—" "Yes, sir. The files were in the vehicle." "Agent?" Maya looked at Torres more closely. His suit was expensive, even torn and bloody. His radio looked official, government official. The older man was breathing, but still unconscious. Maya knelt beside him and checked his pulse. Steady but weak. His leg was definitely broken, but no bones were sticking out. That was something. "Is he going to be okay?" Maya asked. Torres looked at her like he was seeing her for the first time. "You saved our lives. Both of us. Do you understand that?" Maya shrugged. Anyone would have done the same thing. "No," Torres said quietly. "They wouldn't have. I've been in law enforcement for 12 years. Most people run away from burning cars. You ran toward it." Within minutes, vehicles arrived. But these weren't normal ambulances or fire trucks. They were sleek, dark, with government plates. The EMTs wore badges Maya didn't recognize. A woman in a crisp uniform approached. "Agent Torres? I'm Paramedic Shaw, Federal Emergency Response. What's your status?" "Possible concussion, broken ribs. Agent Williams has a compound fracture of the left tibia and hasn't regained consciousness." Maya stood back, suddenly aware that she didn't belong in this conversation. These people moved with military precision. Whatever Torres and Williams were involved in, it was bigger than a simple car accident. Rex limped over to her, whimpering. Maya knelt and hugged him. "It's okay, boy. We're okay." But Rex wasn't okay. The stress and cold rain had made him worse. His breathing was more labored than before, and he felt warm, fever-warm. "Miss!" Torres called. "Don't leave yet, please!" Maya turned back. The EMTs were loading Williams onto a stretcher. Torres was walking toward her, wincing with each step. "I need to know your name," he said. "Maya Johnson." "Maya Johnson," Torres repeated like he was memorizing it. "Maya, what you did, there aren't words for it. You risked your life for complete strangers." Maya looked down at Rex, then back at Torres. "My foster mom used to say that kindness doesn't cost anything, but it's worth everything. Even when you don't have much." Torres studied her face. "Your foster mom sounds like a wise woman." "She was. She died 2 years ago." Something flickered in Torres's eyes. Surprise? Recognition? Maya couldn't tell. "Maya, I want you to take this." Torres pulled out a business card from his wallet. "If you ever need anything at all, call this number." Maya took the card politely but didn't look at it. "Thank you, but I'm sure I won't need it." As the government vehicles drove away, Maya finally looked at the card. Environmental Protection Agency, Special Investigations Unit. Her blood ran cold. When the agents tried to thank Maya, they had no idea that her response would make them realize they'd found something far more valuable than their lives, and that she was already paying a price for living in Riverside. The crowd started to disperse as the flames died down. Maya sat on the curb, inspecting her cuts. They weren't deep, but they stung. Rex lay beside her, panting heavily. His nose felt dry and hot. An EMT approached them. Unlike the federal response team, this one wore a regular city uniform. "Miss, you should let me look at those cuts." "I'm fine," Maya said automatically. The EMT, a middle-aged black woman with kind eyes, knelt down anyway. "Those look nasty. And honey, how long have you had that cough?" Maya hadn't realized she was coughing. "A few weeks. It's just the weather." The EMT cleaned Maya's cuts with antiseptic. "You live around here?" "Yeah, in Riverside." The EMT's expression changed. "How long? 8 months? Your dog is sick too?" Maya looked at Rex. "How did you know?" "I've been seeing it more and more. People from Riverside coming in with respiratory problems, fatigue, skin irritation, animals too." The EMT bandaged Maya's hands. "You should get checked out at the free clinic, both of you." Before Maya could ask what she meant, Torres reappeared. His ribs were taped, and he walked carefully, but he was determined to talk to her. "Maya, I need to thank you properly." "You already did." "No, I mean really thank you." Torres pulled out his wallet. "Please let me—" Maya stepped back. I don't want your money. Then something else. A job reference? I have connections. Really, I'm fine. Maya gathered her things. Rex and I just did what anyone would do. Torres stared at her. Would anyone crawl into a burning car to save strangers? Maya shrugged. My foster mom used to say that kindness doesn't cost anything, but it's worth everything, even when you don't have much. Your foster mom. Torres seemed to be filing that information away. What was her name? Patricia Johnson. Why? Torres and the EMT exchanged a look that Maya didn't understand. No reason, Torres said quickly. Maya, I noticed you're coughing, and your dog looks... He paused, choosing his words carefully. Have you both been feeling okay lately? We're fine. But as Maya said it, she coughed again, a harsh, dry sound that came from deep in her chest. Rex whimpered and tried to stand, but his legs shook with the effort. Listen, Torres said. I know you don't want money, but if you or your dog start feeling worse, especially if you start feeling worse, call that number I gave you, okay? Maya nodded, though she had no intention of calling anyone. She'd learned long ago that help usually came with strings attached. As Torres walked back toward the remaining government vehicles, Maya heard him talking to someone on his radio. Base, we need to run a background check on Maya Johnson. Yes, that's Johnsson, foster daughter of Patricia Johnson, deceased. Yes, sir, I know what that means. Maya's stomach dropped. Why would they care about Patricia? She pulled out the business card and looked at it again. Environmental Protection Agency, Special Investigations Unit. Environmental Investigations, in Riverside. Maya looked toward the Morrison chemical plant in the distance. The same plant where those strange trucks came and went at night. The same plant that had been here when Patricia was alive. The same plant that had been here when Patricia got sick. Come on, Rex, Maya whispered. We need to go. But as they walked away, Maya couldn't shake the feeling that Torres was still watching her, and that his interest in Patricia wasn't random. The business card felt heavy in her pocket. For the first time since the accident, Maya wondered if saving those men had been a mistake. But as Rex stumbled beside her, fighting to keep up despite his illness, Maya realized she was about to find out the truth about a lot of things, whether she wanted to or not. Maya thought she was just helping two businessmen, but the next few days would reveal that her rescue had unknowingly put her at the center of the most dangerous investigation in Riverside's history. That evening, Maya used Torres's business card to scrape mud off Rex's paws. His pads were more irritated than ever, red and swollen. As she cleaned them, she finally looked at the card properly. Environmental Protection Agency, Special Investigations Unit. Maya's heart skipped. Environmental investigations? What were EPA agents doing speeding through Riverside? She thought about Torres's questions. How long have you lived here? Is your dog sick too? And that look he'd exchanged with the EMT when she mentioned Patricia. Maya pulled out her notebook and flipped to a page she'd titled Things That Don't Make Sense. She'd been keeping this list for months without really knowing why. Morrison chemical trucks at 2 a.m. 15 families moved away in 4 months. Kids getting sick with the same symptoms. Pets limping, losing fur, acting tired. Patricia's aggressive cancer. Now she added, EPA agents in Riverside asking about health problems. Rex curled against her, whimpering. His breathing sounded worse. Maya felt his forehead, definitely running a fever. The next morning, Maya walked past the Morrison chemical plant on her way to the library. She'd done this hundreds of times, but today she paid attention. The fence was higher than she remembered, security cameras everywhere, and that logo on the gate, she'd seen it before, not just here, on trucks, on paperwork in Patricia's things before they were thrown away. At the library, Maya Googled Environmental Protection Agency Special Investigations. The results made her blood run cold. EPA Special Investigations Unit handles cases involving environmental crimes, illegal dumping, and corporate cover-ups that pose immediate threats to public health. Environmental crimes in Riverside. Maya thought about all those sick kids. Sarah's baby who wouldn't stop crying. Mr. Williams's persistent cough. Rex's deteriorating health. Her own cough was getting worse each day. She looked up Patricia's death certificate, which she'd never really examined before. Cause of death: aggressive lung cancer. But in the corner, someone had written a note. Occupational exposure suspected. Occupational exposure. Patricia had worked at Morrison Chemical for 6 months before she died. Maya's hands started shaking. She grabbed her phone and stared at Torres's business card. What if Patricia's cancer wasn't random? What if the sick kids weren't just unlucky? What if Rex wasn't aging? What if he was being poisoned? What if they all were? Maya thought about Torres's urgent voice on the radio. The files were in the vehicle. What files? What had they been investigating? And why did Torres react so strangely when she mentioned Patricia's name? Maya looked toward the chemical plant through the library window. For 8 months, she'd been sleeping, eating, and breathing whatever was coming from that place. For 8 months, she'd been slowly dying. And maybe, just maybe, Patricia had tried to warn someone before it was too late. Maya picked up her phone and dialed the number on the card. When Maya finally called the number on the business card, what Agent Williams told her would reveal that her entire neighborhood had been living a lie, and that she was already dying from it. The phone rang 3 times before Torres answered. "Agent Torres, EPA Special Investigations. This is Maya Johnson, from the accident 2 weeks ago." "Maya?" Torres sounded genuinely surprised but concerned. "How are you feeling, and your dog?" Maya's stomach tightened. Why was his first question about their health? "Not good. That's why I'm calling. What kind of investigation were you doing in Riverside?" A long pause. "Can you meet us somewhere private? This isn't a conversation for the phone." An hour later, Maya sat in a veterinary clinic outside Riverside that Torres had arranged. Rex lay on an examination table while a federal veterinarian drew blood samples. Williams was there too, walking with crutches but determined to be present. "Maya," Williams said, his voice gentle but serious, "we've been investigating Morrison Chemical for 2 years." Torres pulled out a thick file marked "Confidential." "They've been illegally dumping toxic waste that's seeping into Riverside's groundwater." The veterinarian looked up from Rex. "This dog has chemical poisoning, benzene and mercury exposure, severe levels." Maya felt the room spin. "Chemical poisoning? Maya, you need to get tested immediately," Williams said. "If your dog has these levels, you're likely affected too." The blood test results came back within an hour. Maya stared at the numbers she couldn't understand, but the doctor's face told her everything. "Early-stage chemical poisoning," the doctor said. "Your liver is struggling to process the toxins. Your respiratory system is compromised. Without treatment, this will get much worse." Maya looked at Rex, now connected to an IV. "How long has this been happening?" "Based on these levels, probably 8 months, the doctor said. "Maybe longer. 8 months. Exactly how long she'd been homeless in Riverside." Torres leaned forward. "Maya, Morrison Chemical has been bribing local officials to look the other way for 5 years. The health problems you've noticed, they're all connected. 17 families have had children born with birth defects," Williams added. "The same chemicals affecting you and Rex." Maya thought about Sarah's baby, about all the sick kids, about her own foster mother. "Patricia Johnson," Maya whispered. "My foster mom. She worked at Morrison Chemical." Williams and Torres exchanged that look again. "Maya," Williams said carefully, "there's something else you need to know." Torres opened another file. "Your foster mother didn't just work at Morrison Chemical. She was our original informant." Maya's world tilted. "What?" "Patricia contacted the EPA 2 years ago. She discovered Morrison was falsifying environmental reports, dumping chemicals directly into the groundwater." Williams pulled out photocopied documents. "These are her original reports. She documented everything for months." Maya stared at Patricia's handwriting. Detailed notes about chemical storage, illegal dumping schedules, health problems among workers. She was trying to expose them? "More than that," Torres said. "She was building a federal case. Patricia Johnson was the bravest person I've ever worked with." Williams opened another folder. "The cancer that killed her, the aggressive type often linked to prolonged chemical exposure." "You're saying Morrison killed her?" "We can't prove murder," Torres said. "But the timing? Patricia was scheduled to testify before a federal grand jury. She died 3 weeks before her testimony." Maya felt tears burning her eyes. She was trying to save everyone. "Including you," Williams said softly. "Patricia left documents with a neighbor before she died. We found them during our investigation." Torres pulled out a handwritten letter. She wrote about you, Maya. She said you had the heart to fight for justice, and that if something happened to her, she hoped you'd continue her work. Maya took the letter with shaking hands. Patricia's familiar handwriting filled the page. Maya has the heart to fight for people who can't fight for themselves. She doesn't know her own strength yet, but I see it every day. If something happens to me, I hope she'll find a way to protect our community. The truth about Morrison Chemical must come out. Too many people are suffering in silence. She knew she was in danger? Patricia was scared, Williams admitted. But she wouldn't stop. She said Riverside was her home, and she wouldn't let them poison her neighbors. Maya looked at Rex, fighting for his life because of chemicals Patricia had tried to expose. The file's in your car. Patricia's evidence, Torres confirmed. Updated with 2 years of additional investigation, chemical analysis, financial records, recorded conversations with Morrison executives. If that car had exploded, Morrison would have gotten away with everything, Williams said. Maya, you didn't just save our lives, you saved hundreds of families. Maya realized the full scope of what had happened. I've been living in the contaminated area where my foster mother was killed for trying to expose the truth. And now I'm dying from the same chemicals. But we can stop them, Torres said urgently. With Patricia's evidence and what we've gathered since, we can shut them down permanently. Maya looked at the letter again. Patricia's final words. I believe Maya will find her way to justice. She always does what's right, even when it's hard. What do you need me to do? Williams leaned forward on his crutches. Maya, we want to offer you something unprecedented. But first, you need to understand. This is dangerous. Morrison has powerful allies. People have been threatened, intimidated. Worse. How much worse? Torres met her eyes. 3 community liaisons in other states have received death threats. One had her house broken into. Another followed for weeks. Maya looked at Rex, now stable but still sick. At Patricia's letter promising justice. The test results showed poison in her own blood. What exactly are you offering me? What the agents offered Maya next would not only save her life and Rex's, but give her the power to get justice for her foster mother and save her entire community, if she was brave enough to face the dangers ahead. The veterinarian finished adjusting Rex's IV. With immediate treatment, he should make a full recovery. Without it, he had maybe 3 weeks. Maya's heart clenched. 3 weeks. She'd come so close to losing the only family she had left. Maya, Williams said, your blood work shows early-stage poisoning, but it's treatable. We're getting you both into emergency medical care immediately. I can't afford... It's covered, Torres interrupted. Federal emergency health intervention. You and Rex will get the best care available. After Maya's initial treatment, IV fluids to help flush the toxins, medication to support her liver, the agent sat down with her in a private room. Maya, we want to offer you something unprecedented, Williams began, but you need to understand the risks. Torres pulled out an official document. We're offering you a position as Community Environmental Justice Liaison with the EPA. Maya stared at them. I don't even have a college degree. Your knowledge of Riverside, your relationship with the community, your courage. Those matter more than any degree, Williams said. We need someone the community trusts. Torres opened a folder. $35,000 starting salary plus full federal benefits and comprehensive EPA training. Maya's mouth fell open. $35,000 was more money than she'd ever imagined having. Plus, Williams added, full tuition assistance for an environmental science degree. Evening classes so you can work and study. You want to hire me? More than that, Torres said. Your job would be to work with communities like Riverside across 3 states. Help identify environmental crimes, connect residents with resources, and give people a voice. Maya looked at Rex, now resting peacefully with color returning to his fur. What would I actually do? Williams pulled out a map marked with red dots. Morrison Chemical is part of a larger network. We've identified 12 similar cases, communities being systematically poisoned while their residents have no advocates. Companies target poor neighborhoods, minority communities, places where people don't have political power, Torres explained. They count on residents being too scared or too broke to fight back. Maya studied the map. Riverside wasn't alone. And you think I could help stop that? Patricia tried to expose Morrison alone and died for it, Williams said. You'd have the full weight of the federal government behind you. Torres opened another file. Emergency housing voucher to get you out of the contaminated area immediately. Immediate medical treatment for both you and Rex, and a $10,000 signing bonus for relocation expenses. Maya stared. $10,000. She could get Rex the veterinary care he needed. She could have a real apartment. She could stop worrying about where her next meal would come from. What's the catch? Williams's expression grew serious. The catch is that this is dangerous, Maya. Morrison has powerful allies, politicians, judges, corporate executives. They've spent millions keeping their crimes secret. People have been threatened, intimidated, worse, Torres added. You'd be the public face of the investigation. They'll try to discredit you, maybe hurt you. Maya felt scared, but also angry. What kind of threats? Break-ins, surveillance, legal harassment, Williams said. 3 of our previous community liaisons received death threats. One had her house broken into twice, another followed for weeks. They tried to plant drugs in one liaison's car during a traffic stop, Torres added. We caught it on surveillance, but they're ruthless. Maya thought about Patricia, dying alone with cancer while trying to save her community. What kind of protection would I have? Security protocols, legal support, and a team of federal investigators, Williams said. You wouldn't be alone. Torres leaned forward. Maya, there's something else. We found more of Patricia's documents. She wrote specifically about you. He handed her another letter, this one longer. If I don't survive this fight, I want Maya to know how proud I am of her. She has the heart to fight for justice, even when it seems impossible. Maya doesn't know her own strength yet, but I see it every day. She stands up for people who can't stand up for themselves. If something happens to me, I hope she'll find a way to continue protecting our community. The truth about Morrison Chemical must come out. Too many people are suffering in silence. Maya has the courage to be their voice. Maya's eyes filled with tears. She really believed I could do this? Patricia was preparing you for this moment, Williams said softly. She knew you had the strength to finish what she started. Maya looked at Rex, now breathing easily for the first time in weeks. She thought about Sarah's baby crying because of chemicals in her blood, about Mr. Williams coughing through every meal. About 15 families were forced to abandon their homes. What about Rex? Torres smiled. Rex would come with you. We're actually hoping to train him as an environmental detection dog. His nose could help identify contaminated areas in other communities. Maya imagined Rex healthy and working, helping protect other families like they'd been protected. Maya, Williams said, we're asking you to put your life on the line to get justice for Patricia and save communities across 3 states. It's not fair to ask this of you, but you're the only person who can do it. Maya thought about Patricia's words. Maya has the courage to be their voice. She looked at the agents, at Rex sleeping peacefully, at the medical equipment that was saving both their lives. Morrison poisoned my foster mother, poisoned me, poisoned Rex, poisoned my whole community. Maya's voice grew stronger. Someone has to stop them. So what do you say? Torres asked. Will you help us finish what Patricia started? Maya stood up, her legs still shaky but her resolve solid. When do I start? 2 years later, Maya's transformation from homeless girl to environmental justice advocate had sparked changes no one could have imagined. But the fight was far from over. Maya's personal transformation. Before, Maya sleeping under the Riverside overpass, coughing through cold nights, sharing granola bars with a limping Rex. After, Maya unlocking the door to a modest 2-bedroom apartment, Rex bounding through the fenced backyard, both of them healthy and strong. Before, surviving day-to-day with no hope for the future, applying for minimum wage jobs on a cracked phone. After, Maya pinning her EPA badge to a professional blazer, her community college environmental science textbooks stacked on a real desk, case files organized in a briefcase. The long legal battle. Month 6, Maya testifying nervously in her first deposition, hands shaking as she read Patricia's documents aloud. Month 12, Maya speaking confidently at a packed town hall, Rex sitting calmly beside her as residents asked questions about water testing. Month 18, defense lawyers attacking Maya's credibility in court. This woman was homeless, Your Honor. She has every reason to fabricate these claims for money. Maya's response. I didn't ask for money. I asked for justice, and the evidence speaks for itself. Month 24. News coverage of Morrison executives being led away in handcuffs. Headlines reading, Federal Environmental Crime Ring Exposed, and Local Woman's Courage Brings Down Chemical Giant. Rex's recovery and new role. Before, Rex limping through puddles, paws raw and infected, too weak to bark. After, Rex demonstrating his detection skills at a community event, his nose identifying contaminated soil samples while children cheered. Rex now worked alongside Maya, trained to detect 15 different industrial chemicals. At community meetings, children gathered around him, petting his shiny coat while Maya explained how environmental testing worked. Rex is proof that recovery is possible, Maya would tell families, both for animals and for communities. Riverside's gradual renewal. Before, empty houses with broken windows, families packing U-Hauls in the middle of the night, children playing indoors because the air hurt their lungs. After, new water treatment facility humming efficiently. EPA monitoring station where community members learn to read contamination levels, families moving back to renovated homes. The community health clinic Maya had helped establish offered free testing for chemical exposure. Sarah brought baby Maria for regular checkups. The child was now walking, laughing, completely healthy. But the changes came slowly. Some families still struggled with long-term health effects. Mrs. Lane, S grandson needed ongoing respiratory therapy. The economic recovery lagged behind the environmental cleanup. Maya's expanded role. Maya's office wall was covered with thank you letters, photos from community celebrations, and maps marking her success stories across 3 states. But it also held reminders of the ongoing struggle, death threat letters she'd received, photos of slashed tires, security reports from the break-in attempts at her apartment. Maya trained community advocates in Ohio, West Virginia, and Pennsylvania. She testified before congressional subcommittees. She spoke at environmental science classes, telling students, environmental justice isn't about being a hero, it's about being persistent. The ripple effect. News coverage. EPA Community Liaison Program shows results in 12 pilot cities. Maya featured in Environmental Health magazine, From Homeless to Hope, the woman fighting corporate environmental crime. Senate subcommittee hearing. Maya presenting evidence that led to new federal regulations requiring community input in environmental investigations. State University scholarship offer. Maya accepted into their Environmental Science Bachelor's program with full tuition assistance. Community recognition and ongoing challenges. The Riverside Community Center was renamed the Patricia Johnson Environmental Justice Center. Maya spoke at the dedication ceremony, Rex beside her, as Patricia's photo was unveiled next to other community heroes. But not everyone celebrated. Some residents blamed Maya for the economic disruption when Morrison Chemical closed. Anonymous letters called her a troublemaker and government puppet. Mayor Rodriguez presented Maya with the Community Service Award, but the ceremony was small, held indoors due to security concerns. The community garden Maya helped establish where the old contaminated lot had been. Children played there safely for the first time in years. Personal growth and continuing mission. Maya video called her former foster siblings now scattered across the country. You showed us that our voices matter, her foster brother Marcus said, that someone like us could make a difference. Rex served as a therapy dog at the community center, helping children feel calm during environmental health screenings. Maya's journal entry, 2 years after the accident. Justice isn't quick and it's not easy, but it's worth fighting for. Patricia was right. I found my strength. Now, I help others find theirs. National impact. The Community Environmental Justice Program expanded to 12 cities, each with locally trained advocates. Maya's story became a case study in environmental science programs at universities across the region. Congressional testimony led to $50 million in federal funding for community-based environmental monitoring. But Maya knew the work was just beginning. 12 communities out of hundreds that needed help. Environmental crime was still happening. Families were still suffering. The fight continued. 3 years later, Maya would discover that her act of kindness had created a legacy that would protect communities she'd never even visited. Maya drove her used EPA vehicle through Riverside, Rex sitting alert in the passenger seat. The neighborhood looked different now. Children played in yards where warning signs used to hang. The air smelled clean. She parked at the same intersection where the accident happened 3 years ago. A small memorial plaque marked the spot, where environmental justice began, thanks to community courage. Maya touched the plaque, remembering that terrifying moment when she'd squeezed through broken glass to save two strangers. She'd had no idea that choice would define the rest of her life. "Thank you, Patricia," she whispered. "We kept fighting." As Maya walked back to her car, she noticed a young woman helping an elderly man load groceries into his car. The man was struggling with a heavy bag, and the woman immediately stepped in. Maya rolled down her window. "That was really kind of you." The young woman smiled. "My grandmother always said kindness doesn't cost anything, but it's worth everything." She paused, recognizing Maya. "Wait, you're Maya Johnson, right? From the Environmental Center?" "Just trying to follow good advice. My little brother is in your after-school program. He wants to be an environmental scientist now." The woman's eyes lit up. "You changed his whole perspective on what's possible." Maya felt warmth spread through her chest. "Tell him to keep asking questions. Communities need curious kids." Later, Maya visited Patricia's grave. The headstone read, "Patricia Johnson, environmental defender, foster mother, truth teller." Fresh flowers sat beside the stone. Maya wasn't the only one who remembered. 12 communities now have their voices heard," Maya said, kneeling beside the grave. "Rex is training his 4th detection dog, and that scared homeless girl you believed in, she's teaching college students about environmental justice." Maya placed her EPA badge on the headstone temporarily. "I never thought I'd make it to college, let alone become someone people listen to. But you saw something in me I couldn't see in myself." Rex nudged Maya's hand, then sat calmly beside Patricia's grave. He'd grown from a sick, limping dog into a confident working animal who'd helped identify contamination in dozens of communities. Maya's phone buzzed, a text from one of her partner communities in Ohio. "New families moving back. Water tests are all clear. Thank you for not giving up on us." Maya smiled, pocketing the phone. "Ready for another day, Rex?" Rex's tail wagged as they walked back to the car. In the distance, the Patricia Johnson Environmental Justice Center bustled with activity. Children attended after-school programs. Adults learned water testing skills. Community meetings planned new initiatives. The overpass where Maya used to sleep now featured a small community garden and monitoring station. A plaque read, "Community Environmental Monitoring Station, established by Riverside Environmental Justice Coalition." Maya drove toward their next destination, a community meeting in Pennsylvania where families were reporting strange odors near an industrial site. Rex perked up, ready to work. "One more community to help, boy," Maya said. "One more chance to finish what Patricia started." As they drove into the sunset, Maya reflected on how a single moment of choosing kindness over self-preservation had transformed everything. She'd saved 2 lives in a burning car, never imagining those lives would save her entire community in return. Environmental justice wasn't about being perfect or fearless. It was about showing up, asking questions, and refusing to let people suffer in silence. The work continued. Maya speaking directly to camera, Rex beside her at the Patricia Johnson Environmental Justice Center. "I was just a homeless girl with a sick dog, but I learned that ordinary people can create extraordinary change. You don't need special skills or perfect circumstances. You just need to notice what's wrong and refuse to ignore it. Look around your community. Are people getting sick for no clear reason? Are families moving away suddenly? Do the answers you're getting make sense? Find others who share your concerns. Document what you see. Ask questions until you get real answers. Environmental justice isn't about being perfect. It's about being persistent. If this story inspired you, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. Like this video. Subscribe to Black Tales Stories for more stories about communities fighting for justice. Check on your neighbors. Pay attention to patterns. Your community is counting on you. What will you notice in your community today? Share your observations in the comments below.